Welcome, Wendy.
Hi, thank you, Teresa. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. So, most of my listeners wouldn't know this, but I was actually certified through your Mindfulness Meditation Facilitation program. And it really helped me learn how to share mindfulness with people from different backgrounds than what I was accustomed to. So, maybe corporate people or people of certain religions or faiths who might have misunderstood that mindfulness is only about a religion or spirituality. So I was wondering if you could share some tips to our listeners on how people can talk about these practices with others.
Sure. I mean, I think it's pretty typical that once somebody learns about mindfulness and it really helps their state of being, and they can do that through your podcast, so that's great that you're doing that.
Thank
They
you.
want to start telling other people about it,
Yeah.
right? But it's really important that people say it in a certain way. Otherwise, it could be misunderstood. So I think a couple of things come to mind. And one is a lot of people think meditation, for instance, is about blanking out your mind and having
Mm,
just nothing going on. And then when somebody tries meditation for the first time, they realize how busy their mind is.
mm,
So that's one of the things, but the things that come to mind when somebody's talking to somebody else, trying to get other people excited, is they can talk about the research. There's so much research out there that really show evidence that it can help with stress and anxiety and depression. And people tend to think about these practices to help with sort of negative things in life, but
mhm.
it can also be very like work with positive things and help you enjoy things in life a
True.
lot more, right? And
True.
yeah, and I think it's important not to be kind of preachy about it, to say, oh, everybody should do this, because I hear that a lot from
Yeah.
people, and it's really not a practice for everybody. I think most people can benefit from it, but it's not for everybody. There are some risks about it too. If somebody has some
Mhm.
past trauma that hasn't been dealt with, we need to be careful about that.
I agree. I
And what
agree.
you said about this can be very much done, and I teach this in a secular way, which means not spiritual and
Mhm.
not religious. I think that's an important thing as well, that this is a practice that can really be open to anybody, regardless of if they have a faith or not, or what kind of faith they have.
I totally agree. Of course, because I've been through your program. Um,
Yeah.
so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is, there's so much negative gloom and doom everywhere, but there are positive things coming out of this too. And one seems to me to be that we're seeing great examples of how compassionate people can be and how giving. And at the same time, I'm hearing from people that they're not sure what they can do if they're locked down in their home, but they want to help or they want to do something. And of course, we all know that doing something, giving, contributing makes us feel better too, which I think is important while people are isolated. So I'm
Mhm.
just wondering if you have any suggestions about that, what they could do.
Oh, well, that's a good question, because just last night, I was teaching one of my facilitator training cohorts, and I asked them the question. I did a poll, and I said, with all of this going on with the COVID situation, are you finding more acceptance for introducing mindfulness to the workplace? Because I've heard a lot of anecdotal evidence about
Hmm.
it. And so it was great. 70% of the group
Wow.
said just in the last few weeks, the barrier has come down, the acceptance is there. So we're all saying, now is the time.
Yeah.
If you've been wanting to introduce it to other people, now's the time to do it. And yeah, so I train and certify people to become mindfulness facilitators in the workplace.
That's fantastic. I am
Yeah.
seeing the same thing.
Good.
Everything that we do related to mindfulness is just skyrocketing.
Good.
And so I very much feel the same way. Like, okay, I'm so happy that people are open to something that could be so beneficial,
Hmm.
and so glad we all of us in this community have the platforms available to start supporting people and helping people. So back to your certification program, because we do have people that have some downtime right now, and
Hmm.
instead of we're about to move into a little new arena of maybe this is the time for self-development or to reflect on what your current career is, and is that a good fit for you now, things like that. So
Hmm.
I thought
Hmm.
it'd be great if you could share some information about the Calm Monkeys certification program and how it works.
Sure. Oh, there's a few things I'd love to talk about. Basically, I guess The question I get is, what is it that I'm teaching? Because a lot of people want to introduce this to the workplace or
Hmm.
to the community, but they're not sure how. And they certainly really aren't up for becoming a meditation teacher and taking years of training and spending thousands of dollars. So, mindfulness facilitation is what fills that gap. And what I teach is a very practical, completely online, rubber hits the road training, basically. So if somebody is already experienced in mindfulness and meditation, like maybe they've taken some courses before, or they've been practicing a while, or they've been studying it and reading a lot of books, but basically if they have that foundation
Hmm.
of personal experience and some knowledge about it, they can introduce it to other people. So the course is about 25 hours long, and it's all online, and it provides a training course to learn all about what is it you actually do, the practical aspects of how do you introduce it to a workplace, how do you get approval, maybe it's a business case that you have to do, how do you design a program, what works, what doesn't work, how do you get the respect from people to do a proper program, what are the risks involved from a facilitation point of view as well as
Hmm.
from a participant point of view, how do you collect do surveys and collect all the benefits so people know what the benefits are and you can show that to management. So it's really practical. I do not teach people how to practice mindfulness and practice meditation because I assume they already know that when they come to me.
Right. Yeah. And I can
Yeah.
vouch for the program. It's great. It's very
Oh,
effective.
thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Um, Wanted to know just basically if you're interested in sharing this, if you could talk a little bit about how your mindfulness practice is supporting you through the current disruption.
Absolutely. Well, it's always been a very big part of my life ever since I had my cancer
Mm.
situation in 2010. But certainly this what we're going through right now is so unprecedented, and I'm
Yeah.
finding that I need to meditate a lot more. So when the going gets tough, if you're really busy, if you're really stressed, that's when meditation helps out so much more. And from a mindfulness perspective, it's really interesting to kind of observe myself and what I'm going through and recognizing
Hmm.
emotions and reactions as simply emotions and reactions. It's not who I am. It's not going to be forever. It comes and goes. It changes all the time. And just having kind of the non-judgment. I mean, it's so easy to kind of look at the media or the leaders of our countries and kind of think, oh, why are they doing that or whatever it might be. But that's where the non-judgment piece of mindfulness comes in. So you can observe with interest and curiosity and not get as angry, perhaps, about what's going on. So it's really helped me level out. And yeah, there's lots of different kinds of meditation practices, and the ones that really help my mind. There's types that help your mind stay busy, so you
Hmm.
don't have to actually calm your mind. Anyway, there's lots to know, and it really
Yeah.
helps me. I'm sure it's helping you through all of this too.
It is. Oh, yeah. And I'm really having to strengthen my non-judgment on certain days. Like I've had many days where it's
I
like,
can vouch
you're
for that
judging, you're
too.
judging. It's so funny because my staff is all remote now.
Hmm.
And so I'm here alone with all the empty desks and computers and chairs and everything, which is,
Hmm.
so my day starts, I have to start right away being very mindful and just observing again.
Hmm.
Okay, yes, I miss having staff here, but we're connected, online.
Hmm.
And so there's this constant little adjustment. But today when I walked in, how you put something somewhere, in a room and then you don't see it after a while. And I happened to notice something I had framed that was up on a bookshelf that is a Wayne Dyer quote, which is, peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is rather than as you think it should be. And I
Mm.
thought, I must have needed that today. I just need to remember, yeah, this is not how any of us want it, but we can't have it the way we want it right now. So
Right.
I know mindfulness has supported me so well over the last few weeks. I
Hmm.
don't normally get anxious, and I've had just like this sort of low level anxiety every day. It's almost like waiting for the next thing to happen. And so
Wow.
then,
Yeah.
a few deep breaths, spend a little time quieting, a little meditation, and then I'm ready to go again. So very
I
beneficial.
would agree with that. That's what's happened with me as well. This level of anxiety that normally isn't there,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
not used to that.
Me
Yeah.
either. I keep like, what's
Yeah.
wrong with me? It's like, oh, I'm human. I'm feeling
Hmm.
anxious.
Hmm. And what's really interesting, the facilitator community, I've I've reminded them to practice self-compassion
Yes.
because they're so, and wonderfully so, they're so excited and motivated to get out there and go online and run mindfulness sessions online for people, and they're doing it and making huge progress. But I'm always thinking you need to look after yourself as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah, and I agree with that. We're really struggling with that because the need is really great and we want to do it. I mean, I'm personally having that problem right now. It's like on every front. Oh, I could help here, I could help here. And then
Mm-hmm.
my staff is getting the cycle now. I'll do that for 3 or 4 days and then I'm like, that's it. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to
Mm-hmm.
stop and like hibernate, to
Yeah.
allow myself, which is not the best way to do it, but it is in a situation like this, there's a strong desire to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
we do need to remember self-compassion and self-care because, if
Mm-hmm.
we burn out, we can't help anybody. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
definitely. Well, are there any other, I'm going to ask you about how people get in contact with you at the end here, but I want to know if there are any other tips that you might have for people as they navigate through this, or any suggestions of just good self-care practices that you found helpful for yourself?
Oh, there's thousands. Which one do I pick? I mean, I think especially new practitioners or people that have maybe not done this so much
Hmm.
before, the grounding with the breath is the most powerful thing and the easiest thing to do. So, what I mean by that is all throughout the day when you can catch yourself and remember to do, just
Hmm.
take 3 breaths. Like, just stop what you're doing.
Yes.
You don't have to close your eyes, but you could, and just pay attention to your breath and feel the aliveness of your body when you do that, and that brings you into presence, right? And then
Yeah.
one other thing I'd like to just share, another simple practice, is you can take your right hand and put it over your heart. This is a really simple self-compassion exercise. So you put your hand over your heart and press, put some pressure there,
Hmm.
and just feel that, the power of that. And you're kind of looking after yourself that way. That's
I
really
love that.
nice to do.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been telling a lot of people to breathe. Like
Mhm.
they're too anxious almost to calm down enough to just like maybe sit in meditation or something. But I've been just
Mhm.
all throughout the day, and I've had people putting or telling them or suggesting to them that they put up sticky notes if they need to, like they're working from home, put it on the computer,
Mhm.
set the alarm on their phones, maybe every 2 hours to just stop and take those breaths. So of course we're on the
Yeah.
same page, but yeah, I agree.
Or just
So
those.
if someone's interested in further pursuing mindfulness facilitation or
Mhm.
mindfulness meditation, or if they are still working in a company, I'm thinking of all the hospital workers, which, they're so
Mm.
stressed, but I know there's a lot of it happening in hospitals now. But what would be the first step? How would they go about checking you out, contacting you, finding out more information?
Oh, thanks. The probably the best thing to do is start at my website. So my
Okay.
business name is called The Calm Monkey. So the website is thecalmmonkey.com, or they can email me at wendy@thecalmmonkey.com. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I just want to say, it's amazing how many different kinds of people become facilitators. They don't even have to be working in a company. 50% of my students are actually entrepreneurs, or they have a little side business going. 50% are employees. And sometimes they're just people who are retired, or, stay at home moms that want to help the community. So it can really be anybody as long as they have that personal foundation of practice already.
Yeah, that's true. Excellent
Yeah.
point. And I think we
Yeah.
need more facilitators to not only to get us through this,
Yeah.
but when this is over, there's
Hmm.
going to be a lot of a new kind of stress, adjusting to what comes next.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely. Well, there's a big surge right now. The barriers down, like I said, people are
yeah,
more interested to try it,
yeah,
and that's just going to keep growing. I mean, the
yeah,
research shows it's just growing because more people just see the power it has.
yeah. Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for joining us today and providing us all this great information. And
Mm.
maybe we'll check in a couple of months, and we can talk about something from a lighter perspective. So
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you, Teresa.
great. Thank you. Stay
Okay.
well.
You